3 disturbing true parenting horror stories. Story 1.
This is something that happened to me when I was in the 5th grade back in 2012, living in New York City. It's weird talking about this even after all these years, but I feel like people should know, especially parents who might trust their kids easily with new friends. I remember it was late September, one of those cool, breezy afternoons. School had just started a couple of weeks ago, and everything felt normal. My routine after classes was always the same: hang out on the playground and play soccer until my mom called me home. That particular day, I was chasing after the ball, completely lost in the game, when suddenly my foot got caught, and I stumbled hard onto the turf. Before I could even pick myself up, someone reached out a hand. It was a boy I hadn't seen before. He smiled as he helped me up, introducing himself as Jack. He said he had just moved to our neighborhood, and this was his first week at our school. Jack seemed friendly enough, quiet but friendly. We hit it off quickly. Over the next few days, we talked more during recess, teamed up during games, and eventually became friends. He mentioned living just a few streets away, which made hanging out even easier. My parents met Jack briefly when they picked me up from school, and they seemed comfortable knowing I had a new friend nearby. About 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, my parents and I decided to go hiking in Bear Mountain, north of the city. We usually didn't see anyone we knew up there, but strangely enough, about halfway through our hike, we bumped into Jack and his dad. It felt like a pleasant coincidence at first. Jack's dad introduced himself as Michael. He was tall, smiling, and had this reassuring, easygoing manner that instantly put my parents at ease. They chatted for a while, and at one point, Michael casually asked my parents if they'd be comfortable letting me sleep over at their house sometime soon.
Oh, okay, this is where we're going.
My mom seemed a bit hesitant at first, but Michael reassured them, saying they'd supervise carefully. Eventually, seeing how friendly and responsible Michael appeared, my parents agreed. So about a week later, on a Friday evening, I walked over to Jack's house for my first ever sleepover with him. The house looked normal, cozy even, but something about it just felt a little off. I pushed those thoughts away quickly, blaming it on nerves since this was my first sleepover at a friend's place.
Makes sense.
At first, everything went smoothly. We played video games, had pizza for dinner, and talked about soccer. Around 10 p.m., Jack's dad came in and gently reminded us to sleep soon. We settled into Jack's room, which was upstairs, and eventually drifted off. Sometime later, I woke up suddenly. I wasn't sure what had startled me, but then I heard voices from downstairs. Multiple voices, muffled and urgent. I nudged Jack awake and whispered to him about the sounds. Jack just shrugged, sleepy-eyed, and said his parents probably had guests. Then his dad's voice called out sharply, demanding that Jack come downstairs immediately. Jack looked slightly annoyed, but went anyway, leaving me alone in the dimly lit room.
Hey, this is reminding me of the time when I slept over at my mate's house, and it was the only sleepover I've ever done where I was terrified for my life. The dad came home drunk, and I didn't know, but the dad and the mom constantly argue. He decided to tell me whilst I'm stuck in his house. The dad tried breaking into his own house, and I'm there with my mate and the mom. They tried to block him out. I was scared for my life, bro. He didn't tell me any of this information before. He didn't tell me this before. He told me, wow, something there. I'm stuck there now with this crazy psycho dad trying to break in.
Suddenly feeling uneasy, I got up and quietly locked the bedroom door, just to be safe.
It was horrible.
A few minutes passed, and the voices downstairs grew louder, angrier. Footsteps echoed heavily on the wooden stairs, approaching Jack's bedroom. I froze, heart pounding, listening as someone stopped right outside the door. Then came a knock, harder than a normal knock. It was almost aggressive. Jack's voice calmly asked me to unlock the door, reassuring me that everything was okay. But there was something strange about how calm he sounded amidst the chaotic noises downstairs. I didn't answer, pretending to still be asleep. Then, another voice, deeper and harsher, shouted through the door, demanding I open up immediately. My heart raced. Panicking, I grabbed my phone and sent my parents a hurried, broken text that just said, "I'm scared, lock doors, come quick. Before I could
Yeah.
finish typing more clearly, loud
Oh, yo. I'm telling you right now, if my kid sent me that text, I'm literally gonna be there that quick. You're gonna have the whole entire police force behind me, and I haven't even called them. I think that's the best thing to do, bro. You get their attention by going 500 miles an hour. I don't care. I do not care.
pounding began on the door, violent and forceful this time, making the entire room shake. I scrambled into the closet, trembling uncontrollably, hiding under piles of clothes, breathing as quietly as possible. Seconds later, I heard wood splintering, the door breaking apart. Heavy footsteps stormed into the room. A flashlight beam swept across the closet door,
Is it
and
police?
suddenly it flung open.
Is it police?
A large man I'd never seen before reached inside and roughly pulled me out. I kicked and struggled, but he easily dragged me downstairs.
What?
My eyes widened in shock when I saw a black van waiting outside,
What?
engine running. Jack stood silently beside his dad, not looking at me at all. My mind was racing. I realized what was happening. They were kidnapping me.
Wait. It sounds like this family's sold you off. They've lured you in, they've trapped you and sold you, mate.
But then I saw headlights pulling into the driveway. My dad's familiar sedan.
Nice.
Relief flooded through me, though it was quickly replaced by terror when the man holding me pulled out a handgun, pressing it against my side. My dad jumped out, holding his own safety gun, shouting at them to let me go. The man holding me warned my dad to drop his weapon or he'd teach me a lesson.
Nah, it's not happening.
In that awful moment, by sheer luck, a patrol car drove by.
Yo, it's not happening. I'm headshotting them. And if I hit the son, I'm sorry, son. But I'm headshotting him. I'm headshotting him. He's going. Night.
The police officers immediately noticed something was wrong. They shouted commands, drew their weapons, and tackled the two men swiftly, arresting both on the spot. Jack's dad was cuffed and thrown into the back seat as well, protesting loudly as they took him away. The days following that nightmare were a blur. Police officers regularly visited our home, informing my parents about the ongoing investigation.
That's weird.
Weeks
man.
later, the detective in charge finally sat us down and revealed the chilling truth. Jack's father, Michael, had intended to sell me to that man for $10,000. It turned out he had fled another city, Boston, if I remember right, after committing similar crimes. The police had been looking for him for months. Jack never returned to our school. I never heard from him or his family again. My parents were shaken deeply. They blamed themselves for trusting someone they barely knew. I guess you never really know people as well as you think.
Yeah, but then again, like kid sleepovers. When I slept over at a mate's house, my mum didn't really know the parents. Now, that's not an unusual thing for parents to know each other, for the kids to have a sleepover. Like the kids just might have a really close mate. They never really met the parents or whatnot. And like, oh, please can I have a sleepover, whatever. Like,
The scariest part, though, the detective said Jack had helped his father in previous incidents. He wasn't some innocent kid caught in his dad's nightmare. He had been part of it all along.
what?
That realization still haunts me the most. Before we dive into the next story,
What?
if you're visiting our channel to stay updated with share these stories with your friends and family. Thanks.
Oh, what, you guys? Oh, really? To be like in the UK, crazy things like this, like it might happen, but it don't happen much. So like, yeah, it could happen, but yeah, I had a lot of sleepovers. A lot of my friends had sleepovers. Like there was a lot. There is a lot of sleepovers that happen in the UK. I don't know about nowadays though. I feel like sleepovers have kind of died down a little bit. Cause like I'm trying to think like, yeah, I don't think kids even do it that much anymore. They would just have like a gaming night. You know what I mean? Instead of sleepover, one stays at his house, one stays over. They just stay up all night on the game.
I am the only child of two parents, and we live in Texas. For identity reasons, I will name them Franklin and Samantha, and I will call myself Walter. Last week, it was my 18th birthday. It was on a weekend when I didn't have college. I woke up that morning and made myself some coffee and breakfast. I didn't worry about buying or baking a birthday cake, as I was sure my roommates and friends would throw me a surprise birthday party. I decided to check my phone and see if anyone sent me anything like a birthday wish. When I checked, I noticed that my parents sent me birthday wishes and one other thing. My mom sent me 3 files through the iMessage group chat that me and my parents had. Those files were videotapes of me and my parents. They wanted to remind me of the old memories we made, as I am now officially an adult.
Okay.
Below the files were the words, "Congratulations." I clicked on the first videotape, and it showed my 3rd birthday party.
Cute.
The party was being thrown at my house with childhood friends and my entire family. The video ended with me blowing out the birthday candles. Next, I clicked on the second videotape. This one showed me riding a bicycle at the age of 9 for the first time.
Okay.
It also showed me being so happy riding that bike. I would ride that bike to school and back every day. Then, I clicked on the 3rd and last videotape.
What's in this one?
The video started showing a man, a woman, and their child. They were having a barbecue in their garden and singing a song happily. The person behind the camera then kept pacing behind the fence, and what it looked like in frame is that the camera person was crouching down, most likely trying not to be seen. 5 minutes in the video had now passed, and nothing had changed, until I heard a woman behind the camera talking to whoever was behind the camera. The velocity of her voice kept increasing as it sounded like she was approaching the camera person. The woman asked, "Have you got them, Frank?" "Oh yeah, I have, honey," said Frank. I stopped the video. I had an awful feeling that I knew these voices. Is it true that it was really my parents? I hoped I was wrong, and I resumed the video.
What?
Frank then turned the camera to what I would think was his wife, and it was. More importantly, it was my mom, Samantha.
Right?
My suspicions were true. I couldn't believe that it was my parents. She looked to be about 15 to 20 years younger in the video. "Are you ready?" my mom asked while she had a very sinister and devilish smile on her face. "Of course I am," said Dad. They then both walked around the fence and to where the garden was. As they got closer to the back, my mom started to pull something from her pocket. It was shiny, but I couldn't make it out. They then crept to where the man and woman were. The woman then suddenly turned her head around to the back, which faced where my parents were. Before the woman could do anything else, she just collapsed to the ground. She just dropped dead like a doll.
Ah!
The father then quickly turned his head around. His face was still in normal color, but half a second later, it turned pale and full of terror that I can't describe.
Wait. I'm very confused. Why did your parents send you this file, this video, for your birthday congratulation videos? Why would they send this one? Accident? They might be feeling to show how they got him. Yo, that's a brutal way to show. Hey kid, we stole you. Happy birthday. What? What?
And then he ran away from the home property and out of sight. I was holding my breath and my hands were covering my mouth as I was still watching. My dad then took the baby from the unconscious, or should I say dead, mother's hands.
Yeah, do you want to know who your
The
mother is?
baby started crying
She's
as it
dead.
was calling for its mom. My mom then put a tissue in the baby's mouth and told it to shut up. My parents then left this property and went inside a house to which I think was where they lived before our current house. My mom then approached my dad and said, "Let's prepare the papers." She continued to speak, and then what she said next shook me deeply to my core. What she said was, "I think we should name him Walter. I
Your
like
name.
that name,
That's you.
and I'm sure he will be great," my dad said, and then the video abruptly ends. I then downloaded the video to my files. After doing that, I stayed frozen for the next 10 minutes. I tried to comprehend what just happened. I opened my phone again to the group chat with my parents, and I now saw that the 3rd video file was gone. My mom then sent a text saying, "Did you see the 3rd video?" I lied and said, "No, I didn't." My mom then responded to me with, "Okay, because I sent that one by accident." I then just put a thumbs up emoji as my reply. and that was the end of that conversation. It is now.
Wait, no. Why would then the mum say that as well? Because that will make you want to go see it if you haven't seen it. If my mum said to me, I'll send you a video by accident, I'm clicking on the video. Actually, I probably won't. It might be a video you definitely don't want to see. It could be the wrong type of video. But wouldn't she just like sneakily just delete it or something? Like go over to his house and delete it?
Now April, and I'm about to finish my first year of college in a few weeks. After I finish, I plan on staying somewhere across the country, far away from my home. And when I'm at this place, which is to be determined, I'm going to anonymously report my parents to the authorities and hopefully have them locked up in prison for a long time for kidnapping, abduction, false imprisonment, and possibly murder. My whole life turned out to be a lie.
Wait, I don't know. I don't think you would do that. Like, chat, hear me out, right? Hear me out. As fucked up as this is, they are his parents. Like, it would be a hard one. Like, you gotta think about it, chat. Like, just think now, like, if your parents, you just found out right now that they killed your actual parents and kidnapped you, would you report them? Because they've had that whole entire time of your life as your parents. That you will see them as your parents. Even though it's fucked, you would. You'd report them? If my mum and dad turned around and said to me, we robbed you, but I'd still see them as my parents. It's fucked. Is it no chat? Like you've really got to deep it. Like you've really got to think about it. Like you see them as your parents. Your whole life they've been them. Even though they robbed you. It's a trippy one. Is that why I'm so pale? Yeah. It might be my situation. I need to ask them. You wouldn't see them. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it is fucked. I suppose like when you find out they've done something crazy like that, you're like, whoa, okay. Like you automatically like disengage.
And I want to kill myself over it. But I will stay strong because when my parents are out of my life and locked away, I want to tell my story to the world. But for now, I will stay anonymous and will keep you guys updated if anything else changes. Being a single mother isn't easy. Between raising my 3-year-old daughter, Jessica, and working night shifts at a diner, I was almost always tired. Small details slipped my mind constantly. Leaving the milk out, forgetting to lock the back door, or misplacing my keys. It was easy to chalk these things up to exhaustion.
Mame in chat just said, it would make sense, my parents are nuts.
We lived in a modest 2-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood called Hawthorne Heights. Our place was cozy but aging, complete with creaking floors and doors that never seemed to shut completely. It felt safe enough though. Neighbors watched out for each other. And I had lived there since Jessica was born. But in early October, things began feeling strange. It started small. One evening after work around 11 p.m., I found a chair pulled slightly away from the kitchen table.
Goes.
I could have sworn I'd pushed it back before leaving, but shrugged it off.
Goes.
Another day, the TV remote disappeared for hours, only to show up later on the bathroom sink. I blamed Jessica at first. She was curious and playful, but she was also still tiny, barely tall enough to reach that counter. I dismissed these oddities as nothing serious. After all, when you're juggling motherhood, work, and house chores, your mind isn't always reliable. But then Jessica started acting strangely. One evening, as I tucked her into bed, she whispered something that caught me completely off guard. "Mommy, the man in the closet scares me." My heart skipped a beat, but quickly I reassured myself it was just her vivid toddler imagination. I smiled softly and opened the closet door, showing her there was nobody inside. She nodded sleepily, reassured, and drifted off to sleep. But those words lingered in my mind. The next few days passed with an uneasy tension. Jessica became more withdrawn, clinging to me whenever she could. Once or twice, she'd glance nervously at the closet, eyes wide and anxious. Again, I checked inside, finding nothing but clothes and toys scattered around. I chalked it up to typical childhood fears. Then things got stranger. One morning, I found muddy footprints near the back door, footprints far too large to be Jessica's tiny shoes. My breath quickened. But again, exhaustion quickly provided an excuse. Maybe I'd tracked mud in from outside.
Hey, come on.
I cleaned the floor thoroughly, trying to push down the gnawing feeling inside.
Come on, get some
However,
paranoia.
everything changed on October 25th. It was a quiet Thursday night, around 9 p.m. Work was unusually slow, and my manager let me leave early. A rare relief. I planned to surprise Jessica and my sister, who babysat while I was at work. As I drove home through the familiar tree-lined streets, something felt off. It was darker than usual, clouds covering the moon, casting the entire neighborhood in eerie shadow. Pulling into my driveway, I noticed immediately that my sister's car wasn't there. Confused, I parked quickly, heart starting to race. She never left Jessica unattended, never. I opened the front door cautiously, calling my sister's name softly. No answer. Instead, I heard a faint rustling upstairs. Jessica must have been awake. Relieved but confused, I headed upstairs quietly, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpeting.
Oh no,
Jessica's room was open, and to my horror, I found her sitting up in bed, wide awake, staring blankly at the closet door. Her eyes met mine briefly, then immediately returned to that door, fear clear on her face. A chill filled the air. I followed her gaze. The closet door was slightly ajar, moving slowly back and forth, as if pushed by an invisible breeze. Something inside me screamed to get Jessica out. Without hesitating, I scooped her up in my arms, holding
Wait. Who the fuck is looking after her? Where's your sister?
her tightly as I backed out of the room. Just then, a faint, almost silent creak echoed above me from the attic. My heart stopped. In 3 years of living here, I'd almost forgotten we had an attic, a cramped, dusty space I'd only opened once when we first moved in. Now, hearing the noise, everything felt sickeningly wrong. I rushed downstairs, clutching Jessica tightly, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. Within minutes, flashing blue lights lit up my street. 2 officers arrived swiftly, calming me down enough to explain what I'd heard and seen. While one officer stayed with me and Jessica in the living room, the other headed upstairs, weapon drawn. I sat motionless, ears straining as heavy footsteps moved cautiously through my house. The officer upstairs suddenly shouted, urgent and sharp. Seconds later, a thudding noise erupted, someone sprinting above us, followed by muffled yells and a scuffle. My stomach twisted into knots as the officer beside me bolted upstairs to help his partner. I held Jessica tightly, covering her ears, terrified of what might happen next. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the officers reappeared downstairs, their expressions serious and tense. They'd apprehended someone hiding in the attic, a disheveled, thin man whom I vaguely recognized from around town. Apparently, he'd been sneaking into our attic through a loose vent at the back of the house, living unnoticed for weeks.
Hell no.
My mind raced, realizing all those moments I'd brushed off weren't my imagination or tiredness. They were proof someone had been quietly invading our home.
Yo, am I the only one sat here thinking, where the fuck did your sister go? And why was Jessica there by herself? Huh? Am I the only one thinking this? What happened with her sister, mate? I know there's a creepy man in the attic, but where's the sister?
He'd watched our routines, learned when we'd be asleep or away, silently occupying our private space. The next day, police showed me photographs from the attic. Blankets, food wrappers, old clothes, and bottles filled the cramped space. The most unsettling part was a small hole he'd drilled directly above Jessica's closet, giving him a clear view into her room. The man in the closet wasn't imaginary. He'd been watching her every night.
Weird.
We moved out within days. Staying in that house felt impossible, the thought of someone secretly watching us unbearable.
Yeah, 100%.
Months passed and slowly life regained some normalcy. But years later,
Yo, that shit will give you PTSD, man.
living miles away, tucked into a safe, brightly lit apartment, Jessica still occasionally whispers about the man in the closet. And every
Bless
single
her.
night, I triple-checked the locks, unable to shake the chilling realization that someone could have been so close, watching, waiting, and listening for weeks without me ever knowing.
You need to elbow your sister as well. Like, what? Why did she leave her by herself? What the?